Hello, everyone. You are listening to the C Squared podcast with Corey and Curtis. We are back again today with Bradley Zorgdrager, industry pro, multifaceted, job title way too freaking long for me to even describe it. He does marketing, band management, journalism, a little bit of everything. But one of the things that he does best, and we're going to talk about it today, is networking and how to do it without being a douche. So first, I just want to say thank you for coming onto the podcast again with us today. Second time we've had you back. And so we're thrilled that you're here and that you can stand us enough to come back.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me.
I want to start off everything if I can. Corey, are you okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So Bradley, as the very first thing, can you kind of define for us what you would consider to be non-douchebaggy networking?
I just generally, I did a friend in school for I think music business stuff. I can't fully remember who it was, but they interviewed me about networking and somehow didn't fail the project because I basically the whole time just said I don't network, I just make friends. And if we work together, awesome. If we don't, well, we have another friend, so that's cool too. So I guess that would be it. I don't really think in terms of networking. I think the closer you get to premeditated, the closer you are to doing something dickish, I guess.
Agreed. Yep, agreed. So can you kind of go over, that's a good point. So premeditated, but at the same time, sometimes you do have to meet people, right? So can you kind of go over the difference between, in your mind, before we get into anything else, what would be premeditated dick move versus make the friends and connections that you need type thing?
I think, I guess it kind of comes down to how you act after, or if it doesn't work out. If you start being a dickhead, if they say no for whatever you're looking for and you stop like talking to them or like ignoring them. And I mean like actively, I don't mean like we're all busy and you don't talk all the time, but like I mean like you unfollow them on shit and whatever. I think that is where it becomes shitty because it's like you wanted what you wanted and you can't get it and now you're throwing a temper tantrum.
I get it.
So I think that's where it's shitty. I definitely think that people should just, I think there's no reason to not just hit up people and ask them what you're after. And I've had a lot of really cool things come my way with the bands that I've been working with recently just because of that. Like, for example, I reached out to the Satanic Temple because I work with this band called Of Sulfur and they're super anti-religious. And I was like, can we do something together? And we're going to be the first band that they're interviewing on their streaming services on the one show, Tragoidia, that it will be the first band. And so I just reached out and thought it would be cool and asked. And then I think it comes down to a mutual appreciation is what makes stuff go well. So like, we're excited for the opportunity. The host is really excited to start interviewing bands instead of just, playing music and stuff, which is, I guess, what the show has been before. Kind of like an MTV kind of play music videos and talk kind of thing.
Nice.
And, if you have a mutual respect, then both parties will try to do right by the other. So we're trying to promote it as in the best way possible, so there isn't a way on the Satanic Temple TV, for example, to like subscribe for notifications. So we made a post about a week and a half out and people might forget about it in that week and a half. So instead we made a Facebook event so that people who follow there can get reminded of it, and we can post updates and stuff, because we want people to come, not just be, it's more, I think, we want our people to come so that they get our viewers, and then we hope that they have some viewers who come and watch us. Like, that's the goal of all of this, right? Is sharing that. So we're trying to do it in the way that's most effective. And I decided that the way that was most effective was to make an event so that we can remind people, rather than hoping that because then they'll get notifications, rather than, if we don't do that, we're just hoping that the algorithm catches them in a week and a half or whatever.
Totally.
I'm trying to think of what else. There's something else that we're working on. Another band that I work with is working on, but I can't think of it. And then
Either Curtis is turning into a monkey, or he has a question.
I have a question.
okay,
Before
what's up?
on, just out of curiosity, just to clarify something. So just to kind of sum up your point, just to make sure I fully understand it. You're saying when you network, it has to be mutually beneficial versus just one.
No, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be like in the moment. But it should always be, there should always be that potential and that willingness. I think that's more mutual beneficiality is great, not always fully applicable at the time. And there's always going to be like an imbalance where one person is able to do more for the other person. But I think it's just about, wanting to do the best. So if you're networking for the sake of, in the case of, PR, trying to get press for a band or something, you do your best to promote that. And that doesn't mean posting every article, because unfortunately that would kill your algorithm, which would mean that you can't, really do anything for any publication moving forward. So, with Brand of Sacrifice, when we were getting a bunch of stuff, I got them to make some graphics that included quotes from the articles, because then it's not going to nuke our algorithm, but we're able to draw attention to the publications and show that we appreciate them in a way that just spamming links just wouldn't. I mean, you can retweet on Twitter. That's, the easy way to spam links, but yeah.
Cool. Corey, you want to go next?
Well, actually, you kind of stole my question, like you always tend to do. God damn it, Curtis. So I guess you kind of touched on one of the points that I run into actually quite frequently, considering I'm still a baby in the industry, is that there's always that kind of imbalance when I'm networking. And I don't know. So where would you say it crosses the line into like using somebody versus actually having a mutually beneficial relationship, when you really can't pay that person back? Like, there's one person that I go to with tons of questions, and I literally have nothing that I can offer because he's so many miles ahead of me in the metal career that he has built. So would you say it's more of like you're into keeping your intentions in check, or being aware of how much you're asking, or the willingness to continue to help even if you can't? Keep
your intentions in check. Let them know that you're willing. I think just be like, if I can ever do anything for you, and chances are these people are a lot of the time doing stuff out of the goodness of their heart, so they don't really expect anything back. But I think being reminded of that is nice. So when I was in school for advertising copywriting for a semester before I stopped because metal's cooler, and I was doing Zoom calls with a bunch of people in the industry to learn more about the industry. And they were all about, my professors were like, you got to network. And that's kind of what that was, which I guess is probably the purest example of networking I've ever done, in that it was stated as networking, and I suppose it really was. I mean, everybody was super cool, and some of them, we had stuff in common. So, like the one guy that I did a call with, we talked a bunch, and he was vegan, so we talked about that, and we shared restaurant recommendations afterwards and stuff. So, having something to connect on is also cool. And, in metal, that can be just that you like metal, but yeah. So what the hell am I talking about?
I have that problem a lot.
What the hell? I don't remember what I was talking about. What was the question?
It was about
Power imbalance, right?
Yeah,
Dealing with the power imbalance.
Yeah. So with a lot of these people, I would ask them because, in a normal world, I would potentially meet up with them and go out for coffee to talk, but we were doing Zooms. So I would ask if they would like a gift card for, a coffee shop, or they, there was one in particular where I knew it was going to be a bit of a lengthier thing. Like, can't remember if it was a lengthier thing or if the guy was slightly more senior, or didn't have a connection to my school. Like some of the people we talked to were alumni from my school. So there was like a little bit of, they had people do this. So there was like, they would return that. And so there was a lot of factors, but for whatever reason, this one felt slightly larger. So I asked, if they wanted, I could Uber Eats them some food, and I could Uber Eats myself food, and we could, talk over lunch or whatever. And that, they always said no. They always said no. I tried.
Everybody always says no.
Yeah, they always said no. But I think, just offering it is important because then they're seen as valued.
Well, also, I mean, me and Corey, even if they say no, we still give it to them anyways half the time, just because we're just like, bam, take it anyways. So
like if we don't have their address, we just tend to like PayPal people stuff. If they won't let us do stuff, we're just like, here, take the money and go get your own food.
Make people totally fucking go like, oh,
we're a little weird, but
yeah. But Bradley, so now that's like trying to network, trying to like talk to people that you're trying to meet for a professional purpose. So what about like with just networking in general with other industry people? Like, for example, us, like we network with you, but we don't really have anything to give you. You don't really have a lot to give us other than maybe some coverage sometime, but you know what I mean? But we don't really ask you, you don't really ask us for much. So can you kind of go over that type of networking as well? If you know what I mean?
I mean, I guess I just never considered it networking. I was just like, I don't know. I like to talk, man. So you guys want me to come on here and talk? I'll come on here and talk. I don't know.
I think it goes back to what you said at the beginning, is that you're not really networking. You're just making friends. And that's kind of how I approach it too. I talk to pretty much anybody who wants to talk to me. I'll talk to you as long as you're not like creepy or gross or something. I mean, except for Curtis, he's both creepy and gross, but whatever.
I'm gonna go after you later.
I'm gonna get myself fired, but no. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're able to do something, cool. If you're not, cool. I mean, let's just, like with me and Greg, all we ever really do is shoot each other links back and forth of bands to check out, and that's like our life. And that's kind of how I try to approach it with everybody too, is making friends versus how can I use this person to my advantage? Because that always is just like, why live like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too, though, is like, I know that most of these people, that if you make friends with them, you can also ask them later if you need help with something. Just be like, hey, you willing to help on this? And then if they say no, whatever. But as a general rule, I mean, I think what you're talking about, Bradley, of just making friends makes more sense than going like, how can I use this person to further something in the future, right?
Yeah.
So now, how do I want to put this? So what would you consider to be some ways that are douchebaggy that you've personally experienced where people try to network with you?
Not respecting somebody's boundaries, I guess. So I mean, I used to ask, it's no longer a thing anymore, but my Facebook personal bio, whatever that is right under the photo, used to say like, if you want to send me your band, email me. Don't send it to me here. And that's, when people would not respect that, I thought that that was annoying. That's less of an issue now because my Facebook is in general more locked down than it used to be. I used to have a bajillion people on there, and it kind of got to the point where I was no longer seeing posts from people I knew in real life. And I was like, look, it's not that I don't want to talk to people that I don't know. It's just that I want to keep up with my real life friends. So I kind of started a new one and kind of, called the herd. So that's less of a problem now, because my Facebook is private, like a lot more. And because I got other social networks. If you want to talk to me, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, but so that was one thing, is just like not respecting somebody's boundaries of how they want to be communicated. And in general, that means a lot of time it's like we're sending emails. And I've had publicists before call me, and I don't mind that if it's friendly and if it's like pressing. Oh, and prescient. It has to be, relevant. Don't call me because you want me to write about an EDM thing. I'd be like, what? But I don't like, because I get it, like I've been in a position before where it's like, oh, I thought I had something going on and then it fell apart at the last minute. And I can't specifically think of, like a premiere or something that I was doing for one of my bands and it fell apart at last minute, but I'm sure it's happened. And then, if I called somebody and they were like, yeah, like I can whip something up last minute for you, like I would appreciate that. So that's totally fine. It's just about using your brain. My friend Vanessa, she's posted a bunch about, people who send her a DM on Twitter, email her, and text her all at the same time.
Oh my God. I get that a lot from one PR in particular. And it like,
what? They do what?
They like contact you in multiple ways. And like, I don't think
all at the same time.
And if it's like a repeat thing, that's a thing. I have contacted people before where I've messaged people on Facebook, and then I realized shortly after, I'm like, oh yeah, they don't really use Facebook, and I have their number. I can just text them. And I think it's about that. And if it's a repeat thing, then it's just like, maybe you're doing this to be annoying, but it's not to say never. And I mean, that comes down to like, even the thing where I was like, don't send me your band on Facebook. I mean, if somebody did, but they like sent a thoughtful message, like, like, I think you'll like this because I saw this thing that you wrote and this, like, I'm more likely to, check it out. But a lot of people just, fire you a link, and they just don't even say like, they don't even say check out my band. Like, it's just like a link, and you're just like,
here's my YouTube link. Yeah. Like, I hate that. I actually had one band. It was really cool. They were listening to the podcast. They sent me a message, like introducing to their band on Facebook, where it was a really respectful message, just, short, sweet, link to their YouTube. And then about 5 minutes later, after they had finished listening to the podcast where I said, don't message me on Facebook, they sent me another message apologizing.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, and they got coverage because they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you don't like this. So I'll make sure to not do this ever again. And it's like, it was actually really cool.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So now, just to clarify, just for anybody's listening, I don't think Bradley means like, don't follow up by a different format if you don't get a response. You're just saying don't do it all at once, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think I've had people that, if they haven't responded to email in a couple times, and we've talked on email before, I'm like, maybe my stuff is going to spam or whatever. So there are, definitely, but yeah, don't bomb them a bunch of stuff just because you need a response right now or what, because you,
because you didn't plan ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that, because like all of us do that every, like I did that to you this morning. I sent you the email for this, but I wanted to make sure you saw it because it was at your Exclaim email. So I DM'd you by Facebook just to make sure that you saw it. So I personally, I think something like that's valid, but I just wanted to clarify that you weren't going like, Curtis, don't fucking do this to me ever again.
Oh, no, you're fine.
No, I have one PR in particular who will send me an email, and then about 30 seconds later will send me a Twitter DM saying, hey, I just sent you an email. And then about 30 seconds after that will send me a Facebook message saying, hey, I just sent you a message on email and Twitter. Just want to make sure you see it. And it's like, dude, I need more than 30 seconds.
And like I said, with calling, if it's really like an emergency and stuff, I get that. And there are exceptions to all rules. So if somebody did, send me an email and then send me a Twitter message and then send me a Facebook message, and they were like, dude, I really need this premiere up within like the next 45 minutes. Like, I don't really care if there's even a write-up on it. Just post the link in 2 sentences. Like, is there any way you can do it? If not, need to move on to the other person. That's fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just think in general.
Yeah. Okay. So moving right along with the networking here. So, okay. So have you ever experienced let me rephrase how I was going to say this. Have you ever experienced it where the person, like, let's say you thought you had a good relationship with them, you guys get along, you made friends, but then it's just like they totally ghost you after they get the premiere or the write-up or whatever from you, and what happens as a result?
I don't know. Can't think of anything. I mean, if they did that, I just wouldn't be nice to them in the future. I'd just be like, all right, bye. Like, you don't want to be cool.
I've had that happen to me with one person in particular that I can think of right now that I won't name names, but yeah, she always hit me up for premieres and coverage and stuff like that. And it's, I was happy to help her out because she seemed like a nice person. But then when it came time, like, hey, can I ask you some industry related questions? Because I'm trying to learn more and you've been in the industry for a minute. So maybe she's like, yeah, email me. And that was in December and I've never heard from her since.
Wow. That's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I just can't think of anything right now,
Yeah. And then I have heard from her since, but it was an email that started with, I miss you so much. Hey, I have this thing for you to premiere.
Right.
And it's like, really? So there's a prime example of scummy networking that you don't want to do, people. Don't do that. That's just mean.
Okay, so but at the same time, so just to clarify also on networking, I think we got about 10 minutes left. Yes, we do. Okay, so that time. So just to clarify on one thing though, is that you don't always have to stay in touch with people after you do something. Clarify that, because like, for example, I work with many journalists and stuff. I don't always routinely stay in communication with them after because it's just a purely professional relationship. So Bradley, I'm going to put you on the spot. When is the time? How do you determine who to stay in touch with and who not to? Do you have a predetermined way, or it's just a pure friendship thing?
Yeah, I don't really think about it. I think a lot of friendships, should come naturally. I mean, I think, with, some of your closer friends, it becomes more of a deliberate effort. With a significant other, for example, like, people are like, oh, love should be easy. It's like, no, it's hard. Like, but in general, it's like, I just don't think about it. If they post, it's like, oh, they post something that I find interesting, I'll respond. Or, I haven't talked to them in a while, I'll say what's up. But then there are people who it's like, we purely message each other almost exclusively when one party, has a question for somebody. And that's fine. It's not, but it's just about, I mean, in that case, it's like a back and forth, or, and there's like a clear established respect. And it's also weirder in, pandemic times, where, there are people that, in the past I would see at shows regularly. And so I could go a whole year without messaging them on Facebook, but it never felt like it because I would see them every 2 months at a different show.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, I message people when it's relevant, and, just, if I see something that I think is interesting, cool. Like if I want to congratulate somebody on something, cool. If I have a question, cool. If they have a question for me, cool. Like I don't really put too much thought about it, but yeah, you don't have to keep in touch with everybody. I mean, and sometimes I feel guilty when I message somebody and I'm like, oh my God, the last time I talked to them was when I asked them for this. But
I think it's okay to have those relationships.
We're all busy, everybody's busy. If they wanted to talk to me, they can message me. I'm there, and I'm not gonna ignore anybody willingly. That being said, I definitely ignore people not on purpose sometimes when I open a message and I forget to respond.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do that one too.
And I'm very open with people to message, like, just fucking bug me, like if I didn't respond, bug me. I'm not doing it maliciously. Just ask me again. It's fine. Again, use your common sense. If you bug me 30 seconds later and it's not an emergency, I might be like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Corey, I'm gonna let you take over. I'm gonna say something silly, so just go ahead.
Oh no, say your silly thing. I want to know what it is now.
I'm gonna rephrase the question now. So Corey, can you give some examples of the time when you have experienced that thing where the person has been like ignoring you and that type of thing?
Well, the biggest example is the one that I just gave, where I literally just asked somebody for to answer some questions about things, and I followed up, and the only time she spoke to me after that was, hey, can I get this premiere? By the way, I totally miss you. I know I owe you that email from 4 months ago, but it's like she even acknowledged that she was ignoring me in the email. And it's like, I know what you're doing. But I mean, that happens a lot in the industry where people tend to ignore other people. But again, we're all busy. So I understand I'm not going to be able to get a response from everybody. And sometimes the no response is the response, which is what I say often. If you're habitually not getting a response, then that is your response. And then I just find like a new way or a new person to talk to. Like, honestly, if somebody doesn't want to talk to me, that's fine. I don't care. Just whatever. I'll go find this industry is huge. I'll go find somebody else to talk to.
What I think is the worst thing when people are trying to quote unquote network or get in touch is when the person starts giving you the laying on the butter.
Oh God. Yeah. When it's just slathering butter all over everything. That's buttering me up, and I can see through it when people are trying to do that. And I don't like it. It's very transparent. So, I mean, I'm sure you get this a lot, don't you, Brad? Where people are just trying to suck up to you.
Yeah. I mean, it helps when you don't really think anything like that of yourself, when people are like, oh, you're so cool. I'm like, nah, dude, I just happen to have a platform to talk about music on. Like, my opinion is no more valid than anybody else's. So that definitely helps. I'm sure, there are people who it totally works on because they think they're the shit.
Oh, you're so cool, Corey. No, dude, I hit myself in the face with a car door. I am not cool. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing cool about me.
So Brad, can you so can you kind of go over, we got about 8 minutes left, but can you go over in less than 8 minutes some ways that people should not approach you, like the fake ways, or what you perceive to be?
I think being specific is helpful. I've emailed people in the past when I was, I used to do like a little record label, and I quickly realized I don't like running my own record label because I hate mailing stuff. And I learned I always, as an editor of a publication and a writer, I knew how I would want to be approached. So, when people just come with some generic, like, hey, I think you'll like this, I'm like, okay. But if they say, hey, I think you'll like this, you did this really cool interview with this band about this, I liked this part or whatever. At that point, I honestly don't even care if it's fake. At least they put in the work, and I think, that is important. There's nothing that makes me more frustrated than people messaging me for stuff that is so blatantly, obviously irrelevant to me. Dude, I think I'm on a bunch of like fucking Fiverr PR lists that fucking idiot musicians buy and fucking message me for like their R&B thing. And like, if I could track down all these motherfuckers, like I would, but it's like, it's
like that ending scene from Jay and Silent Bob of you tracking down all these.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's like, these people are paying money for this, probably not a lot of money for this list, but and then they email me and then I'm like, what the hell? And I used to try to, get back to them. At one point I had half a mind to, do an article about that practice for, I feel like, I don't know, like Vice would maybe post something like that. And then I just decided I didn't care enough. But I just mark all their emails as spam. So then in the future, if they're trying to send more emails, their emails are going to fucking bounce and go to people's spam folder, because I'm like, that's what you're getting, because you're literally spamming me. And I used to feel guilty about that. And now I don't, because they got to learn somehow.
Cool. So. Corey, what else do we want to go over with Bradley here? Because we're running low on time.
Oh, no, I think we've covered a lot on networking. Just, cool. I mean, there's like one rule with networking, and that's just don't be a dick. I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's a lot harder to be a dick than it is to not be a dick. Mm-hmm. Like, it takes more effort to be a dick to somebody. So just don't do it.
Well, I think one key thing that Bradley brought up earlier is always try to do something for someone that you're asking something for, even if they're not going to accept it. Like you mentioned, offer the gift card, even if they don't accept it. Just at least try to do something. Don't just be that guy that just hits people up, like you were saying, Corey, wanting something and then ghosting you completely afterwards. I personally think that's like a key thing. Mm-hmm. Always try to at least offer something in return for it, even if it's just something small, the token, right? Mm-hmm. So any final words, Bradley?
No.
Cool.
Eventful.
You don't want anybody to check you out on Twitter, Facebook? I'm sure that was a lead.
Listen to any of your bands.
Yeah, I guess people can check me out on the internet. I'm at Brad Seed on Instagram and Twitter. I have a professional Facebook page, but I don't use it really. I have a personal Facebook page, but I probably won't accept you unless I know you. Nothing personal. It's just that's so I can see my family's posts and people I know. And there are people on there who I've never met, but we had, more developed online relationships before I made this decision or whatever. So it's not like a hard and fast rule, but nothing personal. Check out every band that I work with: Brand of Sacrifice, Of Sulfur, Carcosa, Signs of the Swarm, Carnifex, and Nightwell. I think that's it right now. I mean, I'm in talks with more. I'm always in talks with more. But if you follow me on social media, I'm sure you'll see about those kinds of things, because I'll be adding more. And I guess I don't know. I never remember to plug myself.
Well, I'll plug you. Follow Bradley on Twitter. He always makes great tweets. Follow him on Instagram, and if you don't, we're gonna come after you and kill you.
I always forget to
God
post
damn it, Curtis! You're gonna get the FBI after us, or whatever the Canadian equivalent of the FBI is.
What were you gonna say, Brad?
I always forget to post on Instagram. I haven't posted since May 13th. And before that, it was since April 25th. And that would like make the last one was just like a shitty meme I made. So I'm bad at it. I mean, I posted my story, but like, I think I've just like elevated like actual posts on my feed to some like status that is like holy. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's just social media, but I'm an idiot. So
we're gonna start posting memes about you for not posting on Instagram just to guilt you into fucking posting.
I mean, shit, at least I'm not fucking smoking a cigar and fucking talking in front of a door all the time. Mad bacon.
Okay, we're gonna end off this podcast now. That was the best ending. Party on, Corey.
Party on, Curtis. Party on, Brad.
Hell yeah.